In this episode, I'll be giving my review and reaction to the 2013 movie Now You See Me. So, now that you see me, let's get right into this movie review. I didn't know what to think of Now You See Me heading into this movie. It's been on top of my watch list for a really long time. I don't know why, it was Catch Me If You Can, then Now You See Me. I watched Catch Me If You Can months ago, but I just never got around to watching Now You See Me. Finally have the time. It's summer, it's the summer of movies. Let's get right into Now You See Me. I thought this was a pretty overall a solid watch of a movie. This cast, I have to say, is absurdly stacked from Jesse Eisenberg, Mark Ruffalo, Woody Harrelson, Melanie Laurent, Common's in this. Common from Silo, we don't know him for anything else, from rapping or anything. Dave Franco, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman. There's so many different great casting choices for this movie, and there's even people who weren't listed that are a big part of this movie. So great cast. Did they really live it up? We'll have to find out. I thought this was just a pretty like a good movie. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's like all time, but I think it's a good movie to watch. I'm debating whether to watch the sequels. I've heard that the second one is not very good, but the third one is decent, so we'll have to check those out maybe in the future. I'm not rushing to watch the second one, and this was a solid watch. Like I think the magic of it all is very interesting. Like they have a certain aura as performers that I thought was really cool. Like when they're doing the shows, they're walking around and stuff. I think that stuff's pretty cool. As a former America's Got Talent watcher and fan, it's kind of like that. You're intrigued what's gonna happen, and I like how they leave the audience in the dark for most of it, and then they have like Morgan Freeman's character to come clean it up and explain what was going on. But during the actual tricks, I thought that was pretty cool. I will say this movie is pretty derailed by the Mark Ruffalo and Isla Fisher of it all, where it's the twist at the end, spoiler alert. I didn't love the twist, to be honest. It was a shocking twist, but was it really like what's the fucking point in that, dude? The romance stuff. Like these people are supposed to be working a case. These people just supposedly stole millions of dollars, and we have time to freaking get it on and be all sentimental and shit. I wasn't really for that. I've kind of spoken my piece about that, about these types of movies in general. Like, do we really need a romance in this sort of movie? I don't think so, but we're gonna get it, so that is what it is. But I thought that part kind of derailed from me. I actually would like to see them do more with the magic stuff and more of the shows and things like that than have spending time with Mark Ruffalo and the girl. Like, oh, what are we gonna do? Find out and stuff. And you have so many good characters in this movie, not even cast. Like, let's spend some more time with Michael Caine or Morgan Freeman, bro. I didn't need to see Ruffalo and this girl walk around for hours. So I think you could have lowered the runtime in this thing, or just left it the same runtime and redirected some of that screen time. But yeah, also this movie is very cheesy. Like it tells you that with its music, just the way that it's kind of shot. It is cheesy, but I'm not one to like take away from the movie based on how it was filmed and everything. Like I thought it was overall fine, but don't walk into this expecting to see like some serious like you know prestige or that level type of movie. It's a good watch, and we'll get to my score later on. That's my kind of overarching thoughts on the movie. Let's get into my thoughts and reactions throughout the movie. So we have a pretty strong introduction, in my opinion, where we get to meet our four main magicians doing their own little thing. We have Jesse Eisenberg's character Atlas. He's kind of just screwing around with the card games. Woody Harrelson is my favorite character in this movie. He can do hypnosis pretty easily, so that's pretty cool. And then you have Melanie Laurent's character and Dave Franco's character. They're kind of side pieces to this whole thing. I think the act is kind of focused on Woody Harrelson and Atlas, but what do I know? Cool introduction, also with this man in the hood, and you're wondering who's this man in the hood the whole movie, and then we find out who it is, and you're like, I don't know. I don't know if I like this. Fun introduction to introduce the dynamics of the group where they all meet up at this apartment in New York City and they don't know how to get in, but Dave Franco's character comes in. Or is it James or Dave Franco? I think it's Dave. Dave Franco comes in and is like, listen, and nothing's ever locked, which is like his one thing to do in this movie, but we love him for it. And he gets in there. This room, bro, whoever set this up was on some elaborate shit. You have blueprints through a dry ice in the floor. I was like, I would never figure that out. Cheers to magicians. It is what it is with magicians. I don't know. I don't know how they do it, man. And I'm always impressed. So cheers to magicians. I would not have been able to figure out anything in that room. But that's kind of a funny way for it to start. Is dry ice like runs through their symbol, which they're going to use as their symbol as the four horsemen throughout the movie. But that's just how it starts. What based off that, off this person who sets up. And it's so weird that they never knew who this person was until the very end, which I guess feeds into the twist of it all. But I don't know if I'm really like, you know, we'll talk about it at the end. We get Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, like I said before, just some stacked unks in the cast. Like every scene in the beginning, you're just meeting another person, like another really relevant actor, and it's like holy shit. So I did appreciate the cast, and I thought Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman especially was actually pretty good in this. Michael Caine is, I feel like he was kind of given a limited role, but he did his best in it. If you see Michael Caine in a movie, you're gonna like that movie. I feel like that's pretty much how it goes. First big act is in Vegas, and it's kind of hypnotizing this man. We see Woody Harrelson like do his little things, make him hypnotize, but it's to get this man from the crowd to go steal money from a vault in France, and then the money just transcends on the crowd, which wouldn't they be able to just get the money back by blocking the exits off and all that stuff? But we're not going to play detective here and police here, where it's this initial great act where they all play really well off of each other, especially Atlas and Woody Harrelson's character, where Woody Harrelson puts him in a little trance. Atlas is kind of the driver of this, the host of this, if you will, and they're sending this man through a tunnel in space and time where he goes to France, takes the money, but we learn through Morgan Freeman character later on what actually happened. Big problem when you steal millions of dollars from a French bank or safe or vault, whatever it is, and they get arrested. Well, not arrested because they're being questioned. They're basically detained and pulled for questioning. But it's kind of crazy that they just can't get them on anything. Like there's no charges you could possibly get them on. It's just like, yeah, we know they made $3 million go from France to America and it was in the air, but we have no way of finding that or like finding them guilty of anything, which I guess, for future criminals out there, maybe magic's a way to get out of your future problems. I don't know, but interesting. I did love the scenes of both Jesse Eisenberg's character Atlas and Woody Harrelson's character just grilling the detectives. I mean, Mark Ruffalo is really like a step behind in this movie, and then once you know the twist at the end, it's like, oh, what was he really? Was he really that behind Rhodes? But initially, you think it's pretty cool. These guys just like basically out aura the cops. They're like, we ain't being questioned and bitch, and they got roast for him. We don't see Dave Franco or Melanie Laurent's character really interact with the police, but Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg own them. It's crazy. Like Jesse Eisenberg, Atlas, I should say, gets his phone, does something with a can of Coke, puts the handcuffs onto Ruffalo's character Rhodes, and gets himself out. Like the bro's crazy. I don't know how he does that. Once they get out for free because there's no charges on them, and it's also Woody Harrelson's like amazing at just knowing people and their flaws and like what makes them tick and stuff. So that's cool of him. But he just grills them for like having a daddy issue. I think Ruffalo has, and then the girl is like a rookie and all that stuff. So the second show is going crazy too, where each of them are doing their own little thing, and the big reveal in this one is they're actually going to rob Tressler, who is Michael Caine's character, who's been kind of funding them, kind of running along with them, kind of your like entrepreneur who's latches onto something he sees is going to go through the roof. And then once it goes through the roof, they're like, actually, fuck you, we're going to do our own thing. And it turns out there's actually a personal tie where there was this big magician Shrike who was actually drowned in the river due to some findings that Morgan Freeman's character had found. And yeah, I guess the insurance agency from Tressler kind of didn't pay him out well. So this is all just a big revenge plot on Tressler, where they show his amount of money on stage and they somehow make it go into every person in the crowd's bank account. This is insane. I don't know how you even do that. These guys are really just elite level magicians throughout this whole thing. And so, yeah, Tressler scum New Orleans. And then they had a code word with the hypnotized people that if they see the quote unquote quarterback, they don't have to tackle him. So when Ruffalo's like, what's going on? I got to go get him on the stage. I see them stealing money. They're like, there's the quarterback. And everyone just goes, all the hypnotized people go and tackle Ruffalo, which I thought was a funny scene of that happening. While all this is happening, we're having a lot of fun with these magicians at their shows. We do have Rhodes and the Interpol woman hitting it off. It's like a chase destiny. And this even feels way more pointless once we know the actual twist of it all. Like, okay, Ruffalo's been on it the whole time. What's he fucking around with this girl for? Like, he doesn't even play stupid. He's like just into her. And then at the end, he's like, oh, I was just doing it for the bit. Like, I actually did love you. Like, that part is so stupid, bro. I'm sorry. Like, this just makes this whole storyline feel pointless. And I didn't care for it initially. Still don't care for it, as you can tell post the movie, but I did not like that part. I thought that you could easily have just cut that part out of the movie. We get into a little bit of a confrontation where they're going to do seemingly one last big heist, where I guess in each act of the movie, there's 3 acts of the movie, they do 3 of their own acts. And Dave Franco's character is left behind to be the one to sort of throw everything in the fire, make sure everything's good. Of course, they're able to close in on him, but having the power of magic while fighting, this is great. Being a magician, like Dave Franco just there's like a third in command police officer who's working with Ruffalo. He gets him to somehow wrap his jacket around in a circle and put that down the garbage disposal. I thought he's gonna get his hands. That's a scary proposition right there. But he's like doing poof poof to Mark Ruffalo, getting him running out of the way. And so I was like, it's great to have the power of magic, be a magician, and just do all this shit in front of people. Like, bam, bam, you're crazy, you're on some shit. Like, let's go. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. And then maybe not when you're driving, because, well, we'll get to that later on. But Franco seemingly crashes and everything goes up in flames. Ruffalo heroically tries to pull him from the car, but it was all a big scheme because they had a replacement car anyway, which I should have known that because I know there's a second and third one, and I know Franco's in those movies. So I was like, does he just appear as like a guest appearance? But that kind of took the surprise of the reveal of him still being alive. I was like, oh, of course he's still alive. But seemingly he dies in the crash. They submit a message. They're kind of turning the public. Well, they already have the public on their side. You sell out shows and just give everyone in the arena millions of dollars. Who's going to be against that? We could use some of that right now with these gas prices. Am I right? Dave Franco seemingly dead, and this, I will say, does get a little bit confusing here, where there's just so many characters and so many different motivations overlapping. Like, we still have Michael Caine's character, Tressler, trying to do his thing. We have Morgan Freeman's character trying to do, like, is he in on it? Was he the man in the suit? I don't think Morgan Freeman will wear a hoodie, right? And you have the Interpol people, you have their bosses, you have Mark Ruffalo, you have their bosses. I feel like it was getting a little bit sloppy here, which is like we're just throwing everything at the wall. There's too much stuff going on, and maybe that's to confuse the viewer. It's like a whole magic trick to the viewer, right? I don't know, but I feel like at this point in the movie, I was shifting around. I didn't know what was going on. Finally, they are pretty much like clocked that they're going to rob this one safe in this one building, and the police know it, everyone knows it, and they somehow get away with the big heist, and it's over. The magicians have moved on, at least the 3 that we see: Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, and Melanie Laurent. However, Ruffalo takes a tough loss, and of course, this is the time to kiss the Interpol girl, which is a huge conflict of interest, right? Because Interpol is an international agency, they should be over the jurisdiction of the police or the FBI, but we have to get a romance story in there, or else what could we possibly do? They actually don't even take the money; they just steal the heist. Their dollar bills they're displaying at this huge outdoor party, which I don't know how is even possible for them to get away from that, where it was so obvious that where they were. The dollar bills have all their faces on it. The real money is in a car that Bradley, Morgan Freeman's character, goes to unlock, and it blows up. So he gets caught for all the money. So they get their op arrested. He's been trying to undermine them this whole movie. He's like this magician detective. Like he tells everyone what their secrets are. It's just worth more money, I guess, to have a special about how the magicians do the trick than to actually do the trick, which I'm not sure if I believe that, but maybe I do believe that, and just being a pessimist in society. But I thought that was a funny aspect of like Morgan Freeman's character getting caught with all the money, and he's done for the kind of after being so confident in what they're doing and how they're going to move, and he gets caught too. So that was cool. Did get mad money. And of course, while they're still alive, Dave Franco, big reveal. I kind of saw that one coming with just how it went. And the big twist in the movie, it was Dylan Rhodes the entire time. That was the main mastermind. He turned out he's the son of Shrike. I was like, damn, this was a pretty big twist, but it was kind of a one that's easily played out, and one that doesn't make a lot of sense when you look back at the past of the movie. He's Shrike's son. So, he watched his dad drown in the river, had to get all that revenge on Tressler and all that stuff. So he organized all of this and then was like the main player in all of this. It's too over the top, I think, of a twist, in my opinion. Could have done the reveal as with the hood. I don't know if we needed the hood. We could have, I think, cut the hooded part out, and it's just the 4 magicians doing their own thing. So they all get together somehow. We don't need like a hooded man running everything. And it turns out it was just Dylan the whole time. In my opinion, I thought the twist was kind of overrated if people rate that pretty highly. But yeah, of course, him and the girl are in Paris. They have a lock together. They're going to probably get married now that he reveals his secret, and he was in on it the whole time. Whatever. So yeah, I thought overall this was a pretty compelling watch. Like, it's definitely interesting. I do like the magic aspects of it. I do like Jesse Eisenberg character. I do like Woody Harrelson's character. Even like Common, they get, I forgot to mention, they get people like playing the Philharmonic and stuff. That's pretty cool. It's interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman. There's good standout characters in this movie. I just feel like at times there's too much going on. So I'm going to give this a 7.8, a pretty decent score, but I don't know. I didn't like the twist at the end. I didn't like the romance arc. So that's what holds this back from being like a truly great movie, which is an 8 or a 9. This is like a solid watch. Definitely for like a 1, turning this on, you're not going to be disappointed, but you're not going to be like, that was one of the best movies I ever watched. I'm still thinking about it days later. It's kind of just like a flash in the pan. There's some cool moments, cool stuff. The movie doesn't try and tell you that it's like this all the time great movie either. Cheesy ass music, cheesy ass shots. So 7.8 for Now You See Me. So let's compare this movie to the other movies reviewed so far on the channel. This is the number 58 movie of 109 movies so far, tying a bunch of movies at a 7.8. So this is actually going to be the lowest 7.8 of all those movies, like I mentioned in the past couple of reviews. Too many movies at the same score, so we're just going to go in general directions. This is the lowest of the 7.8s. Obviously, you can see it where it is on the tier list. This does lose out to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind at an 8.4. Mark Ruffalo being a star in both of those movies, which is crazy to say. That's the one Mark Ruffalo movie we have so far. This loses out to Inglourious Basterds, which is a 9.1. Melanie Laurent in both of those movies. This does lose out to American Gangster, which is an 8.1. Common was an American Gangster, which I don't remember at all, but this is now the lowest Common movie. And this beats out Unforgiven, 6.3, a Morgan Freeman movie there. So that's where we'll leave it off with Now You See Me. What are your guys' thoughts on Now You See Me? Let me know down below in the comments. Am I overrating it? Am I underrating it? Or am I just right on this one? Please let me know, and let's have a dialogue in the comments. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, do whatever you got to do. Coming up on the Dubcast, we have more movie reviews in store. I do new movie reviews, old movie reviews, big summer for movies. We got Supergirl, Odyssey, a couple other things coming out that I'm forgetting at the top of my mind. But I'm going to try and be locked in for those. Dune 3 later at the end of the year, Avengers, some crazy stuff, some crazy movies coming out. Excited for it all. And besides movies, we have more TV shows coming. We have House of the Dragon. Season 3 is on the way, so that'll be super fun. I should have a partner for that. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Other TV shows happening. We have Silo Season 3, interesting trailer to say the least. And we also have Ted Lasso Season 5. I don't even know what's Season 4. We have Walking Dead Dead City, which who knows if I'll cover that. The Bear is doing its last season. So we have a really lot of shows. This will be a big show summer and a big movie summer. While sports kind of takes the back turn, we had the NBA live stream last week for finals. Who knows if by the time this comes out, if the finals are even still going. But UFC numbered events, hopefully maybe get a video out for the White House this coming Sunday. And after that, numbered events for the UFC. Sports will take kind of a chill on the channel until the NFL season. So see you guys whenever you want to come by. We got a lot of things going on here, and I'm super excited for all the support I've been getting. And I'm going to continue on. It's been a rough couple weeks getting these videos out there, moving, vacation and stuff. But my loyal viewers, I respect you guys and I love you. And I love anyone who watches these videos, made it all the way to the end. So appreciate you. And as always, be easy, y'all.